discussing the mandibular nerve, and near the mandibular nerve there lies a ganglion that is called otic ganglion. So we will do the what is otic ganglion. So ganglion means group of nerve cell bodies with dendrite, with cytoplasm and with the nucleus, or what is called the collection of grey matter. So G for ganglion, G for grey matter. So wherever there are nerve cell bodies are collectively present in the human body, we use the word ganglion. So otic ganglion is the one of the peripheral parasympathetic ganglion. So this should be the first line about what is otic ganglion. It is a peripheral parasympathetic ganglion. Peripheral means it lies at the periphery or not in the center of the body. The structures present of the nervous system in the central part of the human body is called CNS, central nervous system. Whatever lies nervous tissue away or other than the central part is called the peripheral nervous system. So this is the what is the meaning of the peripheral. And second word is the parasympathetic. So there are two systems in the body, parasympathetic and sympathetic, and these systems, they are made for the smooth muscles. CNS is made for both smooth muscles as well as skeletal muscles, but predominantly skeletal muscle. But autonomic nervous system or peripheral nervous system, which comprises of sympathetic and parasympathetic, is made up of to supply smooth muscles present in the human body wherever they are. So where the smooth muscles, best example of smooth muscles in the human body is the hair. I have told already. Our hair is attached with a smooth muscle. The follicle, hair follicle, which you have read in the structure of the skin, in the histology you have done, structure of the skin, thin skin, thick skin you have done, or in the general anatomy we have taught you the chapter of the skin, and you are making the diagram of the skin for the last so many years, from 8th, 9th, 10th, plus 1, plus 2. How we make the hair? Always oblique. You never see a skin diagram with epidermis and deep is the dermis, which is having straight head. No. Who is making? He will get 0 marks. Why? Because every shaft of the hair is attached with a smooth muscle. Attached to it. Smooth muscle. And what is the name of this smooth muscle? Yes, arrector pili. Remember your classes of plus 1, plus 2, 9th, 10th, everything. You have labeled it in your practical copy so many times. So arrector pili is the name of the smooth muscle attached to the shaft of the, and which nerve comes and end here? Which nerve fiber? Which axon comes? Sympathetic, not parasympathetic. So sympathetic nerve supplies the smooth muscles, arrector pili, in the dermis of the skin to the hair follicle or base of the hair. So when this muscle will contract, what will happen? The hair becomes straight. Hair raising phenomena. When you got the hair raising? During winter. automatically your hair goes vertical. All hairs in the human body which are exposed parts of the human body, they become straight, and air is trapped in them, and it forms a thermoregulation. You feel less cold. So in the winter they become straight to trap the air inside, and air is a bad conductor of heat. So this is called thermoregulation. You have read so many times. So all skin from head to toe has got erector pili, and erector pili, what they want? Sympathetic fiber should come below our skin so that we got the thermoregulation. So that is the smooth muscles, the best example of smooth. Another best example is your iris of your eye, constriction of the pupil, and during day and night, you know, iris, it also requires two type of the muscles, or two type of the nerve fibers. One is sympathetic, other is sympathetic do the dilatation of the pupil. Parasympathetic does constriction of the pupil. Have you read in the physiology, autonomic nervous system? They are finished or no? They have done? You have done autonomic nervous system in the physiology? It's going on. Then you must be knowing everything more than me. So iris is the best example of the smooth muscle. So iris has got two type of the smooth muscles, circular and radial. When radial they contract, they bring the dilatation of the pupil. So radial muscles, they are supplied by sympathetic fibers, and circular muscles in the iris, when they contract, like orbicularis oculi and orbicularis oris, when the circular muscle contract, they bring the constriction. So they are called sphincter pupillae is the parasympathetic, and action of the sympathetic is always opposite the, that you know from your previous classes, I think. And parasympathetic is good for GIT and bad for heart. You know this line also. So parasympathetic is good for GIT but bad for heart. Why it is bad? Because it is bringing B for bradycardia, low pulse, low BP, and sympathetic opposite, high blood pressure, tachycardia, pulse increases. And good for GIT parasympathetic. Why? Because it increases peristalsis, smooth muscles in the wall of the intestine. They contract under the effect of stimulation of parasympathetic, and our food goes forward for digestion and everything. Plus all the glands, salivary glands, parotid, submandibular, sublingual, they are stimulated by parasympathetic to increase their saliva. So salivary secretion increases during stimulation of parasympathetic, because this is good for GIT. So all the associated glands with the GIT, they are under the effect of parasympathetic. Then another best example of smooth muscles are tunica media of your arteries and veins. You have done in histology the structure of the vein and the artery. So in the tunica externa, tunica media, and tunica intima, interna. So what is the media? M for M. So media contains, tunica media of the artery and veins contains circularly arranged smooth muscles. M for muscles in the media. So arteries, they are also present from head to toe. Everywhere you cut, you feel the artery and the veins. And what they are demanding? Smooth muscles, circular in their tunica media, bring the sympathetic fibers. So glands are demanding parasympathetic. So two systems, sympathetic and parasympathetic. And what is the other name of sympathetic system? Whenever the word sympathetic comes in any reference, the other word should automatically come at once within a fraction of a second. The other name of sympathetic system is thoracolumbar. The other name of sympathetic system. Underline it if you don't know. Thoracolumbar. Anybody says parasympathetic. What should be the second word in your mind? Craniosacral. What is the meaning of this? That is the more important. Just ratification is not enough. Go into the depth of these two words. Sympathetic means thoracolumbar. And parasympathetic means craniosacral. What is the word of these two words for? The meaning is sympathetic system of the human body for supplying the smooth muscles is controlled from the thoracic and lumbar part of the spinal cord. That is the meaning. Higher center, when we say higher center means brain or spinal cord. So whole of the smooth muscles supplied by the sympathetic fibers, they are controlled, or their nerve, they are starting from the gray matter lying in the lateral horn of the spinal cord of not cervical, not sacral, only thoracic and lumbar part of the spinal cord. That is the meaning. And if it is parasympathetic, it means craniosacral. Means parasympathetic system of the human body, it is controlled both from the cranial nerves and the only sacral part of the spinal cord, the last lower part. Upper is the cervical, then thoracic, then lumbar, then sacral, and one or two coccygeal. I have told you there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves. So not in the cervical, not in the thoracic, not in the lumbar part. Parasympathetic is not controlled from this part of the spinal cord. Only the last 5 segments from S1 to S5 is controlling the parasympathetic system, plus cranio. Cranio means brain. Brain means cranial nerves. Out of 12 pairs of the cranial nerves, only 4 are concerned with the parasympathetic system. Only 4, not all 12. Only 4 cranial nerves, when they are stimulated, they supply the smooth muscles. So smooth muscles, they contract under the stimulation of the only 4 cranial nerves that you have to remember. Out of these 4, we will go one by one. First of all, you are now introduced with the first parasympathetic cranial nerve, and that is the 9th. What is the name of the 9th cranial nerve? What is the 9th cranial nerve? Name is glossopharyngeal. So glosso means tongue, pharyngeal means pharynx. So it supplies the smooth muscles of the tongue and the pharynx. But additionally, it also helps in the sympathetic, parasympathetic supply also. So functionally, it is parasympathetic. And next nerve is the 10th. What is the name of the 10th nerve? Everybody knows the vagus is sympathetic or parasympathetic nerve. Sympathetic is the longest, vagus nerve is the longest cranial nerve, longest. And which is the thinnest? Trochlear. Trochlear is the thinnest. And which is the thickest cranial nerve? 5th. Trigeminal, because it has got 3 branches: maxillary, ophthalmic, and mandibular. So 10th nerve, vagus is always say that this is the parasympathetic nerve, longest nerve. It starts from the jugular foramen, and where it goes? In the neck, in the thorax, in the abdomen. It ends near the stomach. So it is the longest. And it is parasympathetic. Stimulation, vagal stimulation causes the death of a person. Vagal stimulation causes death of a person because it is parasympathetic, and parasympathetic is bad for heart, good for GIT. When heart stops, patient goes. So it decreases the pulse, it decreases the cardiac output, it decreases the blood pressure, it decreases the pulse. When there is no blood pressure, patient will die. So this is how to remember general about the what is sympathetic and what is parasympathetic. So these are the general things. You must be knowing everything should be on your fingertips. At least this much you should know about sympathetic and parasympathetic. So we are using for the aortic ganglion is a peripheral parasympathetic ganglion. So what is this sympathetic parasympathetic system? The gray matter which is lying either in the spinal cord or in the brain, a nerve start. This is called a parasympathetic or a sympathetic nerve. This is called preganglionic fibers. Preganglionic fibers. This is starting the controlling thoracolumbar region, it may be there, this nucleus, or it may be in the sacral region if it is parasympathetic, or if it is in the brain, if it is a cranial part of the parasympathetic. So nerve will start from the gray matter and it will relay in some gray matter. Where it relay, that is called ganglion. It may be sympathetic or parasympathetic. So same is there. This is preganglionic, sympathetic or parasympathetic fibers. They relay in the ganglion, which may be sympathetic or parasympathetic. Then from this gray matter, what a new nerve fiber or axon start, and it will end into some smooth muscle. It will end into some smooth muscle. So this ganglion, after this nerve fibers, after the ganglion is what you will name? Postganglionic sympathetic or parasympathetic fibers. So this is about general about what is the sympathetic and parasympathetic system. Preganglionic fibers, ganglion, and postganglionic. Postganglionic fibers, they end into smooth muscles. When they are stimulated, if you stimulate this, the muscle will contract. When the muscle is contract, we will say this is because of sympathetic stimulation or parasympathetic stimulation, depending upon which ganglion is. Now aortic is a peripheral parasympathetic ganglion. So it is what we are doing, cranial part of parasympathetic system. So this is the cranial part. So aortic ganglion is a small ganglion. What is the dimension? Only 2 to 3 mm. You know the scale, and you know the 1 mm, what is the size. So look closely. So everybody should bring the inchy tape in your bag with your instrument and see how many mm, 1 mm, 2 mm size is there. Very small. This is the enlarged we have made so much. I have made about 1 inch long, more than 1 inch. Actually it is only 2 to 3 mm in size. Very less than a centimeter. And what is the anatomical position? Second heading will be dimension, then the anatomical position. Where it lies? So this ganglion lies medial to the main trunk of the mandibular nerve. Medial to the main trunk. And what lies anterior to it? Medial pterygoid muscle. So that is the where you find in the dissection. Anterior lies the medial pterygoid muscle. And what lies posteriorly? Again M anteriorly, M posteriorly. What M? Middle meningeal artery. Middle meningeal artery lies, which is going into foramen spinosum, lies posterior to the ganglion. And what lies medial to the ganglion? That you have to remember is the tensor palatii muscle. Tensor palatii muscle. So this you have to remember. What is anterior, posterior, lateral and medial to the aortic ganglion anatomical position. And it is hanging from lesser petrosal nerve. It is hanging from the lesser petrosal nerve, which is the one of the content of foramen ovale. It is hanging from the lesser, not from the mandibular nerve. So hanging from the lesser petrosal nerve. And the middle meningeal artery, as we know, it lies in between the two roots of posterior trunk of auriculotemporal nerve. So auriculotemporal nerve arises by two roots, and in these two roots they are lying passes the middle meningeal artery upward. So aortic ganglion is a peripheral parasympathetic ganglion. It is made for the parotid gland. It is made for parotid gland function. If you read the second heading will be, third heading will be the function. So it is the nerve supply of, or it carries the secretomotor fibers and vasomotor fibers of the parotid gland. Of the parotid gland. Then you have to make the heading, fourth heading will be roots. It has got two roots, parasympathetic and sympathetic. Sympathetic is a motor root and having secretomotor fibers. Sympathetic root is having vasomotor fibers. So vasomotor and secretomotor, they are lying in the sympathetic and parasympathetic roots. Roots mean to which it is attached. We will go into the detail of it. So it is made for parotid gland. So that we will also repeat in the whenever comes the nerve supply of parotid gland. We know the parotid gland is a salivary, one of the salivary gland with parotid duct. And when you do the histology of the parotid this gland, it is made up of parotid duct is attached with the many small duct and the smaller glands, highly branched. And this single gland tissue produces the saliva, and this saliva is collected here and it comes here and drop by drop into the mouth during food. So that is the salivary gland. So this small portion which produces saliva is called acinus. If you do the histology of the, see under the microscope, the acinus, they consist of pyramidal cells whose apex is upward and the base is downward. They have all organelle, the nucleus, cytoplasm, Golgi apparatus, everything is there. Another specialty of the cells of the parotid gland acinus is they contain smooth muscles in their cytoplasm. Smooth muscles. Because of the smooth muscles in the cytoplasm, so cells of the acinus of the parotid gland, they are called myoepithelial cells. Myo means muscles, they are inside the myoepithelial cell. So muscles, they are inside the muscle. So whenever, what is the function of these cells? to produce the saliva. So parotid gland produces saliva. So who will produce them? The cells, with their metabolism is going on in the nucleus and the everything. So when they manufacture the saliva, for example, saliva is ready, then these muscles they contract. Why they contract? Because they are supplied by parasympathetic fibers, they reach them. Parasympathetic fibers, they supply the smooth muscles, because we know smooth muscle is for parasympathetic. So parasympathetic fibers reach, and these smooth muscles they contract, and the saliva, maybe 1 or 2 drops produced by one cell, will come out of the cell here, and all the cells they produce the saliva here. Like, so when they produce saliva, this saliva comes here and goes in the mouth. So this is the simple system of what is parotid gland is doing. So these are the myoepithelial cells under the effect of the parasympathetic nerve fibers, which stimulate. When they are stimulated, the saliva is produced, and it keeps our mouth always wet. Whether we are taking food or no, our mouth always remains wet. Wet is important. Dry mouth lead to the fissures and cracks in the mucosa and the tongue also. It gives you unpleasant sensation as well as the no taste, and bacteria may develop there, because saliva also contains antibacterial agents. It is also one of the seeds for the digestion of carbohydrate. So many functions of saliva, physiology people will tell you. So we are only doing the anatomical part. So this is the myoepithelial cells in the acini of the, and what they are demanding, the smooth muscle in the myoepithelial cell, bring the parasympathetic, and the aortic ganglion will supply this. So this is how the smooth muscles they are produced from the myoepithelial and parasympathetic. Now the production of the saliva is under the control of the brain, because it is craniosacral. Cranial means cranial nerve from brain. So if you study the brain, you have done it. There is a brain stem, consists of midbrain, pons and medulla. Superior colliculus, inferior colliculus, and this is the medulla. If we cut the longitudinal or sagittal section of the medulla, then what we find that inside the medulla there is a nucleus. Again, nucleus means grey matter, collection of neuron cell bodies. There is a nucleus which is called inferior salivary nucleus. Inferior salivary nucleus. It is made for parotid gland. Inferior salivary nucleus. And remember, in the pons there is a superior salivary nucleus. Remember, it is for sublingual and submandibular glands. And above it, in the pons, there is another nucleus. It is called the lacrimal nucleus. It is for the tear in the eyes, lacrimal gland. Stimulation increases the lacrimation. So they are all present in the brain stem, that is midbrain, pons and medulla, because we consider brain as a tree-like structure. As largest part of the brain is the cerebrum, and this is the brain stem, midbrain, pons and medulla. It is supporting like this, like a tree supported by stem. That's why this is the word. Stem means, brain stem means midbrain, pons and medulla, not cerebellum. Cerebellum I have cut from here, thrown it. Stem is only this, holding the tree like cerebrum, largest part of the brain, cerebrum. So these fibers of myoepithelial cells supplied by the parasympathetic fibers, under which the cell will squeeze and throw the drop of the saliva which come into mouth. This process is called secretomotor. Secretion of saliva from the motor means movement. The cell will move. When cell will squeeze, it will move. Movement of the cell is becoming small and vomiting out the drop of saliva. So that's why the word we are using, secretomotor. M for M, Motor of the cell is only possible when smooth muscle in it will contract.